I'm Mary McGrail from the Boston College Alumni Center. We're here today for a live tour of the McMullen Museum of Art at Boston College. Let's meet Nancy Netzer, Director of the Museum and Professor of Art History.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Nancy. How are you today?
Very well, thanks. I'm just hoping that the sun will come out in this very beautiful space. And I want to welcome our audience. I'm sure there are a lot of people who haven't been to the new McMullen, and this will be a chance to see what the treasures are here and how beautifully renovated the building is, and to give you a chance to look at the new exhibition on Rafael Soriano. So should we start right here?
Sure.
Let me welcome you to our atrium, wonderful glass atrium. This is part of the addition to the 1927 building that was built for the Cardinal as his residence, and it was built in the Neo-Renaissance style, so it's a Neo-Renaissance palazzo, in keeping with the Prince of the Church. And we're greeted here by a wonderful gift from one of our alums, Bill Barrega, who as an undergraduate wrote a senior thesis on the artist John Lafarge, having fallen in love with his stained glass windows at Trinity Church in downtown Boston. And he saw that these wonderful windows that were originally made for a Unitarian church in Roxbury were up for sale a few years ago. And he asked if he could buy them as signature pieces for the new atrium of the new McMullen Museum. And he helped us to raise all of the money to restore them. And now they are here permanently installed with wonderful LED lights. So if you drive in front of the building at night, you will see the glow of these wonderful 19th century windows by John Lafarge. And so as we walk back and upstairs, I want to introduce you here to one of the other new additions to the McMullen team, our McMullen Museum ambassadors. We have Jean and Faye here, and we'll let them say a few words about what it's like to work in the new building.
Sure, yeah, we're lucky to come on this past fall for the Beyond Words Illuminated Manuscript exhibition as student ambassadors. I personally serve on the Collections Management and Digital Humanities Committee, which has been an incredible opportunity to interact with the permanent collection, of course, as well as the recently released podcast interviewing Andrew Tabarelli, and sort of getting a sense of his work process, and it's been incredible, all the opportunities.
Yeah, it really has been so great, and I'm on the events committee as well, so we have all kinds of fun things. We have a student opening and a patron opening with each new show, and this weekend we're having a snow day and celebration outside and making art snow sculptures if the snow stays, which we'll see if that happens and how we feel about that. So it's really been so great. We're both so fortunate. We're both seniors, so we've only been able to do it for a year, but I feel so lucky that we were able to.
And we're really grateful to all of our 26 student ambassadors. So let's move around here. We're passing our little bookstore here, so you can see all of the great publications that the McMullen has done over the years. We've done over 40 books since we opened in 1993 in Devlin Hall, and our current catalog for the Rafael Soriano show is the first that's bilingual, English and Spanish. So we're so pleased about that. And speaking of student participation, I want to draw some attention here to the student projects called Exiled From. There are over 20 students who have submitted their projects. We're showing them in the museum. They're in response to the Rafael Soriano exhibition, and they're also available on the student-run website called The Terrace. That was just recently launched. So let's make our way upstairs. On this very beautiful staircase. out onto a very beautiful lawn that was formerly planted in the Renaissance style and has retained its design, although it's now covered with snow, and is a beautiful area for parties in the good months. So as we come upstairs here, and you can look out, we have beautiful views out over the Brighton campus at BC. Rachel Chamberlain, who's our educational outreach specialist, who's been working very closely with all of our student ambassadors. She started our student ambassador program. So.
I'm off to pick up artboards
Oh,
for
good.
first DIY night.
Oh, good.
I'll be back.
That's wonderful. Elizabeth. Nancy. My dear. Elizabeth is a professor in Hispanic languages, and she has curated this exhibition. This is her third exhibition that she's curated with the McMullen Museum. And she's come upon Rafael Soriano, who is a Cuban-born artist who left in exile in 1962 and spent the rest of his life painting, mostly at night, in Miami. And why don't we walk into the exhibition with Elizabeth, let her talk a little bit
Sounds good.
about
Sounds
what
good. You're doing so
what
well,
she was
Nancy.
trying
I
to
think you
do.
could just continue.
So we're moving right into our principal gallery down here, which is the Daly Family Gallery. Mike Daly and his wife Janet have been very active with our patrons program, and Mike has actually served as the chairman of the patrons of the McMullen Museum for over 20 years. So we're delighted to have his name on these beautiful galleries in here. And let me let Elizabeth walk you through so you get a sense of the show.
Well, thank you for coming out, and thank you for your interest in Rafael Soriano. So as we look at this first room here, what we actually are seeing are two different visions of abstraction as interpreted by the two great artists. One is geometric abstraction, which is interpreted on the walls in these paintings by Rafael Soriano. And then the sculptures offer a biomorphic organic abstraction, which was actually sculpted by a friend and colleague of his by the name of Agustin Cardenas. And in 1955, they both had this groundbreaking exhibition at the National Museum of Fine Arts in Havana. So over here we have a nice photograph of that. And so this was principally what those two visions were like in the 50s. And these types of abstractions were ones which were growing and forming in the 50s and taking root. And then in 1959, January 1st of 1959, enrolled the Cuban Revolution. So that Cuban Revolution redefined the precepts of abstraction and of the artistic movements of the day. And as we walk through this gallery, we're actually kind of leaving Cuba behind, and we're entering into his exile period, which Nancy alluded to, after 1962. So if you look left or you look right, you'll see that when he came to the United States, Miami, and began to paint again after a traumatic period of 2 years in which he could not paint, he began to recover this imagery that he had experimented with in the early 40s. So these two big paintings are his surrealist endeavors that he started to do. And so when he came over in the 60s, mid-60s, he retrieved that imagery, that iconography. And as we move down through these galleries, whether we look to the left or we look to the right, we see kind of this transition period. And the idea is that as we keep moving into it, we keep moving into his chronology, into his canon, and by the time we get to these later periods from the 80s, you can see the influence of biomorphic abstraction that we saw in the first room by his sculptor friend, Agustin Cardenas. So he has kind of adopted that and blended and fused that with his own surrealist imagery that he was playing with in the 40s and on up through the other decades. So finally we get to this last room, which is a very kind of a hushed experience. And we were interested in really letting these paintings speak for themselves because he's at the height of his pictorial powers and he's painting in an imagery which is very unique, it's very singular, and it's very exciting because of the dynamism that it portrays. So these are some of the works that we have in his final period.
It's gorgeous. How long will this exhibit be here? Is it going to be here long? Or?
It will be here long. We're very fortunate to have this here until June 4th, and then it's going to move to Long Beach, California.
Okay. Wow.
And it'll be there over the summer. It opens there on June 30th. And then it will go to the Frost Museum in Miami. I think maybe we can go this way. We'll go to the Frost and open there in October and be in Miami where he, worked and lived and participated in that community for so long. And it will be there for Art Basel. So that's the big art fair in December. Yeah, so we're very thrilled to have it open at Boston College first.
I'm very excited.
Well, and I think the important point here is that what Professor Goizueta has told you epitomizes the way the McMullen Museum works at Boston College. We are an unusual academic museum in that all of our exhibitions are driven by faculty research. And Elizabeth put together a great team of faculty members, 2 others from Boston College, and 1 from William Patterson University, and another from the National Museum at Havana to write the catalog. So these are big research projects.
Yeah.
And the catalogs and the exhibitions themselves are great contributions to the history of scholarship. In this case, we're really adding research and to the canon of art history because Rafael Soriano is not very well known.
It's true. So we're really pleased that we had these scholars and these experts both in the United States and in Cuba come together and work on this project as a collaborative effort, because what it does is it really enhances that scholarship that has been limited somewhat in the past, part of it due to the whole exile experience. So we're very, very happy to have that. And it goes to the Frost Museum, which is Florida International University, so that's another university institution.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for showing us around.
You're welcome, my pleasure, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your tour.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Well, let's continue to the next floor, and we want to make sure that we look at the great views out the window. By the time we get to the top floor, we can see all the way to downtown Boston. It's a wonderful piece of property that the Cardinal got for his residence in the early 20th century. And now we've enhanced it and have made it all glass up here so that you can see all the way to the center of town. So what? This is our small sculpture gallery here, where we put one of Soriano's paintings with another Cuban sculptor, Estopinian. And we move through here. We have our upstairs gallery that was named in honor of our former president of Boston College, much beloved Father J. Donald Monin. And it was named by one of the students who was here when he was president, Chris Toomey, who lives in California. So we should just have a look in here to see the rest of the exhibition. And one thing that I wanted to say is that what we have up here are some pastels on the right side, some of the other late paintings, and a long case that we've used here to put out all of the archives and or a selection of the archives and memorabilia of Rafael Soriano's education and career. Soriano was a really big deal. In Cuba, he was the director of the major Cuban art school in Matanzas, and we have a lot of material about his exhibitions in Cuba here, which is very unusual to have. And so we've divided up this long case into sort of his time in Cuba, and then we have these little arrows which show you the division between the archives from Cuba and those after he came to Miami. Because we're an academic museum, we like to put out a lot of our evidence. So we are instructing students at the same time that we're showing great works of art. We're instructing them about how we wrote the narrative of this exhibition.
So I was here for the Beyond Words, the illuminated manuscript, and the space looks so different. How do you do that?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that happened with the architects was that we were able to work out with them because we told them right at the beginning we were doing different kinds of shows that are unpredictable because our faculty have different ideas. We never know what's coming, so we need great flexibility. And they built into our ceilings a movable wall system. So we can see some of the movable walls that are being stored back here. This room actually has no movable walls in it at the moment, but it could be divided up into as many as 3 or 4 small galleries if we had small works that we wanted to display in a series of rooms. So, and we have movable walls for downstairs as well, so that every time we do a gallery installation, we redesign not only the space, but also the colors and the graphics, so that it always looks different. And the lighting has changed. We have a wonderful flexible lighting system with LED lights that is considerably better than what was available when we built our initial museum in Devlin Hall in 1993. So we're happy to take advantage of the technological advances. So if we walk out here, you can see the room where I teach on Mondays. I'm doing a class right now on history and philosophy of museums from the classical period to the present.
Is that an undergraduate?
Undergraduate seminar. And why don't we go behind the scenes for a minute? You can see where all the work gets done
So
here.
how many people work in this building?
There are 5 of us who work up here, and also the interns.
Oh, okay.
The student ambassador interns are back here as well, so there's space for them. And one of the things that we've done is we've hung our office areas with some important landscape paintings that were part of the Boston College McMullen collection. And students in my class are actually doing research on them. We don't know that much about them. So they're hung up here, and students are coming in our offices to work on a number of these paintings. So you can see my office here has 2 of them in it. Step in if you want to.
That's really beautiful how the glass is sort of carried into even these offices,
Yes.
the architecture.
We thought that was a really important thing to do. And as I said, we use a limited number of materials, riffs on white oak for the floors and all of the wood. We have glass. We have the limestone floor, which is like the limestone that formed the foundation of the original 1927 building, and we used stainless steel. So let me take you in just one more place that I think you'd enjoy seeing. This is where our students work on computers a lot of the time, and we also often have students working with our collection in this framing room, and they can watch each other through the window if a procedure is being undertaken. This is all set up right now because we've just gotten a wonderful gift of photography, and it is being cataloged, and students will be sitting there working on the cataloging and the database for it. So before we go, I just have one more thing that I'm hoping to show you as we walk out. Catch a glimpse of it through here, but we'll move along to get a better view. You can see the length and breadth of this. It's snow covered today, which makes it difficult for us to walk out there. There is a very large terrace with fabulous views to downtown. And if you look just in the right corner here, you can see a tarp which is covering a lot of great tables and chairs that come out here on nice days. And it's usually, the terrace is usually populated with students having their lunch and working on their computers. So it's a great study space for students. Often you see students studying in here. And one of the things that we're going to be doing at the end of this semester, during the study day, the exam study days on the, I think it's the 7th and the 8th of May, is during the evenings up until 12 o'clock at night. We're going to be setting up tables out here, because we have some lights out here, if it's nice, but also tables in the galleries so students can take their study break in the museum.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking us on this tour. So if any parents, students, or friends were looking to get involved in the McMullen Museum, how would you suggest them doing that?
Well, I would suggest that they go on our website first, and we have a number of membership opportunities and patrons opportunities, and our patrons are very much involved in with committees because we do a lot of events together, and we're really looking forward to increasing participation, especially among community members here and our alumni.
And it's free and open to the public, right?
Free and open to the public,
That's
and it's open every day.
That's amazing.
And our program is free.
Well, thank you so much. This has been great.
All right.
I really enjoyed my tour.
Well, I've really enjoyed giving it. So
Thank you.
come back again
Thank
for
you.
the next exhibition. Thank you so much.